Hello. Well, pretty soon I'll get down to doing the tarot readings for December and Christmas. I'm always looking forward to doing those, actually. It's a great point of contact. But this is a quick vlog, really, about life and the universe and everything and the way everything's going. Um, I've known for a long time that the world was changing and everything was getting different. Um, Sitting here by the fire with the real logs seems like almost a Victorian thing to be doing at the moment. It's nice, Christmassy sort of thing to be doing. But this is my real life, every winter it's like this. And I love it. And as old-fashioned as it seems, it's kind of, it's not that old really. As recently as the late 1960s, everyone pretty well lived like this. There's a sort of water tank in the back of the fire there that boils up the water, and so we can have baths and things. Got candlelight there, and these are things that people still do and things that people can still have. But I wonder how many people who enjoy this kind of thing actually still live in the wilds, in the woods, as I am very blessed and very privileged to be able to do. I meet lots of people who say that they'd love to share this lifestyle, that they'd love to kind of live this way. And yet, most people just don't. That's the fact of life. Quite a lot of my friends in this area still do, but we're a shrinking band. We really are. And I wonder how much longer it can go on. It does seem to make a lot of sense to live in a centrally heated place these days with oil central heating and all the mod cons. Seems so much cleaner, really nice to be in a place that has all those modern things, actually. As much as I love it here, of course, it makes me appreciate those a lot more. But everywhere you've got clean heat, nice electric panel heaters on the wall, towel rails that heat up and hopefully don't give you an electric shock in your house, whatever. Someone somewhere is burning fossil fuels for the great majority of that. And of course wind farming is on the up, and there's a great deal of clean energy actually being produced now. But I'm told that still, even now, we're still pretty heavily dependent on fossil fuels and that kind of thing. I don't know if you'd call this a fossil fuel. This is one of the logs that I'm about to put in the fire. And this is from a tree that fell in the woods. I don't believe this was a windfall. I think this tree just came to the end of its life. This is nice and healthy, but down at the bottom of the tree it rotted through and it had fallen over. That's nature for you. But since I've sort of dimmed the lights down, I'm not sure how well that shows up, but can you see the lines across this log? Those are saw cuts, and I know every one of those saw cuts because I made it myself. And it's just a great pleasure to be able to do that. Let's just throw a couple more of these on in case it gets cold. And that's the thing, people watching this are perhaps thinking, oh, that looks a terrible cold place to live. But no, not really. It's really nice and warm in here now. And it's a really happy place for me to be. There's not a lot that I can go outside and do at this time of year because I'd be happy. I mean, I go out and about every day, but the soil isn't ready to sort of grow anything at the moment in winter in UK. But it's a really short time now till Christmas. I'm doing this on the 4th of December. And so in less than 3 weeks we get to the 21st of December when the light starts to return, or is it the 22nd? It, sort of varies a bit depending on what year it is. But the 21st to 22nd, less than 3 weeks, we get the longest night and then the light starts coming back in. And it's a remarkable thing, my chickens start laying eggs again then. In fact, actually, I've had 2 eggs laid today, which really amazes me because when we get the dark nights, the hens usually stop laying because it's a light thing. Doesn't matter how cold it is, they'll lay in freezing cold weather, but they won't usually lay when it's dark. But there we are, there's some hope there today because they have actually laid. I'm going to make a cake with it after this. Kim Davies was saying that she made a chocolate cake, and I think that's a really good thing to do, so I'm going to do that as well. But what a joy, what a privilege to actually get eggs that have actually come quite naturally from chickens that I bought from a farmer that I know, and they wander around in my garden. and they've actually laid eggs, and I'm going to eat something from that. It's brilliant. And I don't know how much of kind of staying in a hotel or any of the kind of modern ways of life are really going to make up for losing things like that. But what's really kind of got to me in the last, maybe the last month or so, as I've been thinking about Christmas coming and everything, is that the internet is actually changing, and I'm beginning to miss the old days of the internet. It seems such a modern thing. But gosh, about 10 years ago, I was on a website called Psychic Night. And I wonder what happened to all the people from that. I know what happened to some of them because they're on Facebook now. But this was a website run by Michelle Knight, who's a really great medium. Actually, type in Michelle. It's Michelle with one L. Michelle Knight. She actually does readings on YouTube, and they're really good. And it's because of her website that I got my start as a medium. Psychic Night, it was called. There's loads and loads of mediums on there giving advice and learning themselves, as I did. And it was a brilliant point of contact, and it was very close to the idea of social networking. You know, you had your own page that people could kind of message you on, and you'd put a post on there and people could leave comments, pictures, music, whatever. Very, very like Facebook as it is now. And in those days, Facebook hadn't been going quite as long. This was about 2009. And let me say, I think it was in 2012 that most people who are on Facebook now joined around that time. That's when the big explosion of Facebook happened. So it was just before Facebook really got big. It was very well known, but you know, it was a small thing in those days, Facebook, and it depended on people being genuine with each other. That was the whole point of it, really. And so it was with Psychic Night. And I think, you know, I can perhaps be forgiven for saying that not everyone was entirely genuine with each other on Psychic Night. But they were great days, you know, and yeah, just fantastic. And now, you know, a lot of us still know each other on Facebook. And hello to you, if any of you are there. Mr. Four Paws, Vonnie, all the crew that used to be there. But it's changed, you know. Now we've got advertising all over Facebook, and YouTube is changing exponentially. About a year ago, I was getting more and more views for the tarot readings, and actually for vlogs, this kind of thing. And if you look way back on my channel 2 or 3 years ago, I was doing a lot of lifestyle vlogging outside, doing vegetables, growing vegetables in the garden, logging, giving advice on lighting a fire, that kind of thing. And yeah, YouTube was really quite happy with that and was promoting it and everything. If I wanted to sell something on eBay, I'd put it on there. And my stuff would get looked at just as much as anyone with a big shop who is on there or anything. And just in the last few years, it's changed so much. My views started dropping off around about sort of May, June. And I wasn't allowed to do any more live mediumship after about April, I think, something like that. Just because YouTube changed the rules a bit. And I don't blame them, because, you know, they're getting sort of like 600 hours of video uploaded every 10 seconds or something. I'm exaggerating, but it really took off, and, you know, nobody's servers can handle that much. But, you know, it's changed, and I was very tempted to change with it. You know, at first I got the latest, well, not the latest, but I got an iPhone 7, which was a lot more advanced than the thing I'm using now, which is quite an old, elderly, I might even say, iPod Touch. But it didn't really make any difference, you know, because what I'm vlogging about, it's not that it's unwelcome with people, but it's just not mainstream enough to really get its teeth in. And I'm starting to think, kind of, will the last real human being to leave please turn out the lights, because it's getting that way. But I'm so glad I chose this way of life, you know. I wouldn't like to give it up for anything. And it's just so important to be genuine, I think. And, you know, plenty of people are being very genuine in their own way out there, sort of living life as it's meant to be lived these days. And I'm being genuine in my way, really. Another time I'll show you my Rayburn, which is in the kitchen. It's a bit like an Arga, you know. It's a big cast iron stove thing with an oven in it, and you can cook on it. It heats water too. You can boil the kettle on it. the furthest I've come away from doing that naturally is just by burning logs that grow around here and where trees fall over using them. The furthest I've really come away from that is to get a Cala gas cooker where it's like a bottled gas, and every kind of few months it runs out and you lift the bottle, heave it out and kind of go down the gas bottle yard and get another bottle of gas. But even if that failed, even if I wasn't able to do that, I could still cook and eat and have baths and everything, just based on using my Rayburn. It's a fantastic thing. Anyway, what really set me off on this way of life, excuse me, gosh, it's not that warm and cosy yet. The heat will come out of the fire soon. What really started me off on this, my love of this way of life, was when I was quite a small child. I would have been about 9 years old, I think, in 1975. No, I would have been 10, sorry. Going on 11, actually, by 1975, but 10. There was a series on the BBC called Survivors. And I've actually just been watching an episode on YouTube. It is on YouTube, but if you, I think wherever you are in the world, actually, you could type in Survivors BBC 1975 and you'll get it. And it really spoke to me as a child because the story is that a mad scientist drops a big vessel that's got some terrible killer virus in it of some kind. And then he goes travelling around the world and he just, because of that, he spreads this virus everywhere. And nearly everyone dies. So it's really back to basics thing. And you get very small groups of people who take like months and months, if not years, to find each other. And they have to live off the land. Because even though there are still, buildings everywhere, factories everywhere, aeroplanes, sitting on the tarmac with no one to drive them, cars, everything's still lying about. There's nothing ongoing to sustain life, to keep life going, to make life what it kind of, what people need it to be, to make life livable in the modern way. And that really inspired me. When I look at it now with adult eyes, I see it in a slightly more cynical way because I noticed in the episode, I've just watched episode 2, and one of the characters in there has got this beautiful fur coat which hasn't got dirty or anything. And every time you put this thing on, it might be 6 months since they had a bath in the story. But, they're all really nice and clean and they've had their hair done and their clothes dry cleaned and, So, as an adult, I don't see it with the same innocent eyes that I saw it with as a child. But I'm so glad that I've always kind of kept on drifting towards this kind of lifestyle. My only real sadness is that I know my children just won't have the opportunity, just won't have the opportunity to live this way, because a lot of this is becoming illegal a bit at a time. Nothing I'm doing here is illegal now, but pretty soon it will be, I think, because, just like logging, I never cut down trees and I never pay for trees to be cut down to get my logs, because I live in a woodland. And so long ago, when the population was so much smaller, that just, there were enough trees around that anybody could just get the trees that naturally fall over at the end of their lives and survive by burning their logs. And that's just exactly what I'm doing here, what's going on here. And a tree can't put out any more CO2 than it took in while it was alive. So, in a way, I'm releasing 60 years of growth CO2 in just a matter of hours here as I burn this tree up. But it's natural, it's nature, and it's just becoming less feasible all the time. So I feel sorry for future generations, I really do. Even here, it's getting in here. These are 2 little cottages together in the middle of the woods, in the middle of absolutely nowhere. It's miles to the nearest, what you might call civilization. I think I've got civilization right here, actually. Civilization for real, but it's miles and miles to the nearest shops or anything like that. And the house next door got bought about 10 years ago now by a couple who wanted to use it as a holiday home, and that's what they do. They go off to live in town during the week and do their jobs. And of course, they've split up and done all the modern stuff. They've had arguments about it, because that's what you're supposed to do in life these days, isn't it? Split up. That's the only way to go is to split up. So they've split up, And, the guy still lives in the house. He lives a bit more of the time in there now, actually, to be fair. And he's slowly getting into the country ways a bit more, but he still drives off to work every day. And it's still kind of a bit of a plaything, really, to have a house like this for him. Me, in that very short time, actually, just after we get the longest night and the light comes back in, it's Christmas, and it's a traditional thing with me on Christmas Eve. Sorry, on Christmas night, rather. After my kids have had their kind of Christmas dinner and presents and we've done all that and everyone's exhausted, I will sit quietly upstairs and look on the internet to buy kind of seeds and stuff, and I'll be planning my garden, what I'm going to grow next summer. So it's only a month or so since I pulled the last potato out of the ground for this year. And there'd still be potatoes there now, only I didn't plant enough last year. I was being kind of lazy and actually trying to work really hard at YouTube to get that to take off, and it wouldn't. What are you going to do about it? But yeah, very short time, the cycle will start again, and I'll be out there growing whatever I can, turning the soil over and making things work. And, the chickens who keep on giving me eggs, and I'm sure they'll be back fully in lay by then, it only takes about a week, after the winter solstice. About a week later, they start laying. It's remarkable, but you could almost set the clock by it. And they'll be laying eggs made out of food that they've got out of the ground, kind of worms they pick up when I'm turning the soil over. It's wonderful to see the cycle of life going on for real. And that, friends, is what you see here, actually, as the fire's burning away. It is absolutely natural windfall wood. It hasn't been transported anywhere. I haven't bought it from somewhere. It's just what's naturally here, what's kind of a God-given resource here. And I wish everyone could have it. I realise that not everybody can. But there you go. There's some thoughts. I hope I haven't made anyone sad or unhappy in any way. But it seems to me a great shame that the old ways are disappearing as quickly as they are. And particularly that even what I would think of really is the new ways, the modern ways, YouTube, Facebook, everything on the internet, that's changing as well. It's not dying, not by a long way, but the idea of someone sitting here and talking genuinely is really fading fast, it is. And I'm guilty of that as well when I'm doing the tarot readings, as I will be soon. I'm trying to talk as fast as I can, and I've got posh lights on to try and make it look good. Because somehow I've got to kind of keep up with this life and the world the way it actually is. And anyway, it's been Thanksgiving, and I'll do another vlog before Christmas for sure, and I'll load more videos, no problem. But I do want to say thanks to all you guys all over the world, actually, who leave comments and get in touch and stuff. It's just great to be in touch with all of you. So I hope you had a good Thanksgiving if you do that in your country, and I hope you're having a good time of it in winter. Keep yourselves warm, won't you? And I'll see you again soon. Peace.